Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be showing you welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be teaching you how you can easily reach 99 nights in the forest in 99 nights in the forest. So despite what this icon might say, I'm going to be unequipping any classes for this purpose, and just as the game tells you, you can chop trees to put wood into the fire unless you're quite lucky like me right now and there is some coal here, meaning you'll only have to cut down one tree. But the first step is to get your fire up to level 2. Now that the map has expanded, you can start going out to find materials such as scrap or even more wood. Try your best to stay away from animals like wolves or alpha wolves, which you will find later on because they will attack you. And especially if you're just starting out and don't have any classes, they can be difficult to deal with, so just don't go near them just yet. These houses here are usually what have the most loot in. There's always at least one chest, there's always lots of wood, but something to be cautious about is that there is a wolf in this room right here. If it's not in this room, then it will be in the other one. So if you're not comfortable yet to fight wolves, then don't come in here just yet. Maybe wait until later, until you have some better weapons. This is also where the chest room is, so if you did want the chest, you would have to fight the wolf to get to it. But another thing that you'll notice is that your hunger does go down quite quickly. So what you need to do in this scenario is either use your axe, or if you've gotten a weapon by now, you can use your spear, and you're going to have to kill these bunnies to get morsels. You can cook these on your campfire and then eat them, and they'll restore some of your hunger. If you're lucky enough, you will get a bunny foot, which is the first pelt that we need for the pelt traver, who always arrives on day 2 for the first time. On the first night, the deer won't bother you. He'll just come over and he'll stand around here somewhere and watch you for a bit, but you're free to go out into the night without being attacked by the deer. So you can use the first night to go out and collect even more materials. And when it comes to crafting, the first item you're always going to want to craft is a map. This will tell you where you are, where different buildings are, and which parts you have explored. After that, I usually upgrade the crafting bench, as I don't personally use these two just yet. This old bed is something that we can buy later on, just because it is quite expensive now. And then use any remaining time in the night to cut down some more trees for extra wood. So it's day 2 and the pelt trader has arrived, and the first item I always suggest you get is a good sack, unless you've already gotten one from somewhere. But if you haven't, then always get the good sack first. That is the most important in my opinion. And now with our bigger sack, we can come back to this house and collect everything that we couldn't before. These specific yellow watchtowers will always have flashlights, but for some reason these have glitched and they're on the floor. But if they're not already on the floor, then if you just go up here, they will always be laid out on this table right here. There'll be 4 of these, so you can go and pick one up, because that can stop the deer from attacking you temporarily if anything does go wrong. Assuming that you have gathered some more materials by now, you can make the old bed, which will increase the day counter by 1. And then if you can afford anything else, you can make the sundial, the compass, and the regular bed. Now when it comes to fighting wolves, it really depends what device you're on. But as I'm on a laptop, I'm able to go into shift lock, and it becomes a lot easier to fight this wolf. If I go round in circles while using my spear, he dies quite quickly. You can also do this with an old axe, but you do need to be very careful when doing this. If you notice your health is getting too low, abandon the mission and come back later. My advice would be only kill wolves or other hostile entities when absolutely necessary. So you may have noticed that when you cut these trees, you get saplings. Now what I like to do with these is put them all together in a small circle, not necessarily on top of each other, but just gathered around like this together. So when they grow, you'll be able to hit these down in one go. Or not really in one go, but you can break them all together with the same amount of hits. It is now the second night, but be aware that the deer from this point on will hunt you down during the night. And perfect timing here is the deer. If you have a flashlight on you and you really need to, you can equip it, turn around and flash the deer, and he'll stop for a moment, giving you a chance to run away. As long as your campfire is lit, the deer can't get to you. Another piece of advice would be to look out for these berry bushes. If you're low on hunger, you can just go and eat these. They don't give the most hunger back, but they are very useful and can save you if you're starving. Another thing you'd like to look out for is coal and fuel canisters. Remember, it is very crucial that your fire stays alive. And when you feel ready, you can set out to find the first kid. You might have already found his cave around here somewhere, but if you haven't, you can go on these missing kid locations, click on the poster, and it'll show you an arrow of where they are. If you have a compass, it'll also show up with their icon on the compass, meaning it'll show you exactly where you're supposed to go. Now, I don't have a gun yet, but if you did have some sort of gun, I would say stand right up here, turn around, and shoot the wolves from up here, because they will all run down in this section and they won't be able to kill you. But since I don't have a gun yet, I'm going to have to use my spear, and I'll do the following trick that I showed you guys earlier. I'll gather them all together so no one runs in from behind me, and just starts hitting them like so. If you're lucky, you'll also get your first wolf pelt. As you can see, they've dropped a red key, and you can use this key to go into the room, well, this cave. There's a chest here as well, which you can open. And behind this door is Dino Kid. If you have room in your sack, I do suggest taking back all of the meat that dropped. Now, after you let Dino Kid out of your sack, he will build a tent right here, and now your missing days will always increase by 1 more. I already have 2 beds though, so that is why my missing days are increased by 4. So a major piece of advice I would have is don't make shelf walls. I go on about this a lot in some other videos about how much I don't like them, but they waste all of your scrap and just aren't really effective, so don't make shelf walls. If you really want that extra protection, you're better off making some bear traps that actually take damage, but even then, I wouldn't say make loads of those just because they can get in the way. But mostly, just do not make shelf walls. It is not worth it. Instead, save up to eventually buy some log walls. During the night, you can stay nearby your campfire to get any extra food that you might need, but don't go out too deep just yet. And now, as you can see, our tree pile has grown, so if you go over here and you break them, you can see that I'm breaking 2 of these at the same time because they're right next to each other. We're not lucky enough to get that 3rd one in, but it does make tree chopping much faster, and you can get a lot more wood with it. So you may have noticed before, I did get a message saying something evil is approaching your campfire, it arrives tonight, and this is where usually people will start to struggle because this is the first cultist attack. Now, depending on how many people are in your server, the more cultists that will spawn. For example, since it's just me, I'm only going to get 2 cultists on my first wave, so it isn't too difficult. But if, for example, 5 players, then a lot more cultists will spawn in, so you will have a lot more to fight. But until then, just keep going around, look for chests, pick up resources, try and get different weapons to help you in the cultist attacks. In the beginning, you'll probably be okay just with a good axe if you use the methods that I've showed you, but it is always good to get a gun as well. Basically, what I will say is don't stop when you're running around looking for materials, or if you do it for a really short amount of times like I do, just enough to pick up the item, but don't hang around for too long, and always check behind you before you start opening a chest, just in case there is a wolf there that's charging towards you and you didn't even see it. For example, this part here is quite guarded. Now, I will kill these wolves, but if you don't feel ready, like I said before, to actually attack them, then leave and come back later on. If you notice that your sack is full but you'd still like to take an item with you, you may have noticed that you can drag items, so you can just drag the last item along with you. And now we prepare for the cultist attack. Now, the first attack, like I said, isn't bad, so you don't need to worry too much about this. Just be very careful that you don't stop, you don't let the cultists attack you for too long, because they will kill you. And just to make it better for my mobile players, I'm not going to use shift lock on here to try and show you how I might kill them. But as you can see, it is a little bit difficult sometimes, so you do kind of... I'm going to die. And if you notice that your health gets low like this, then just keep running in circles until you revive. If you do have bandages on you, you can use these on yourself to heal up a bit more. Something that might also help is going into first person. This personally helps me, especially if you don't have shift lock. You can pretty much do the same thing that you would on shift lock, just by going into first person. And then you'll see that you'll also get your very first cultist gem. Now, these are used to make special items later on. You can use the corpses of the cultists as fuel. Now that our fire is at level 4, we will also unlock the alpha wolves. The deeper you go into the forest, the better the loot you'll find, but also the more dangerous it becomes. Now, as you can see over here, there's a broken microwave that I'd like to take. These are worth a lot more scrap, but they are guarded by alpha wolves. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run over to it, pick up the microphone and run away, just like that. And even though the wolf has seen me, he's not close enough to actually attack me, and eventually he's going to lose me. And now we're very lucky and we have found a medic. These have lots of bandages, lots of scrap, and also first aid kits. And sometimes you can even find cake. This restores hunger but also your health, so don't eat those right away unless your health is low. But another piece of advice I would have is, especially when deep out in the forest, get home before nightfall. That is also the point of the sundial. You can see exactly how much time you have left before it becomes dangerous. Well, to be fair, the forest is always dangerous, but it is especially dangerous in the night. And I didn't even realise, but the pelt trader is here, so we can trade in our wolf pelt, and now I can finally get a good axe. You can find these in chests, but I've just been very unlucky. So we finally got a good axe, meaning that instead of breaking trees in 13 hits, we can break them in just 5 hits. And now that we have even more materials, we can upgrade our bench once again, and now for a very important item in my opinion, the crock pot. This thing basically ensures that you don't starve to death, and I'll show you exactly how to use it in just a second. So with a crock pot, what you want to do is, if you haven't already eaten them, you take these carrots that are in the ground, you just need 3 of them, and put them in the crock pot and wait for this to be ready. While this cooks, you can go out and find even more carrots. And as you can see, you now have a stew, which will fill up your hunger bar by at least half. But the good thing about these is that they can stay in your inventory. It's also important to mention that you don't have to use carrots for your stew. You can also use meat. The only reason that you use carrots in the beginning is just because there's a lot nearby and they're easy to use. And just because carrots don't use that much, they don't fill up your hunger a lot anyway. So putting them in a stew is very beneficial. But if there's no more carrots nearby, you can just use meat, like I said. So only use meat if there's no carrots within range. Now this is also a scenario where I would say use a shelf. So what this can do, especially if you're playing with lots of players, is one person can make lots of stews and then put them on this shelf, meaning when other people come back from their adventures, they can come and take a stew and eat. I can also show you what the stew does. It takes your hunger up by so much, so you can carry these with you when you're going out and exploring. And right here I found a leather body, and it does make you look a bit strange, but it will offer you some extra protection if you get attacked. And now for the purpose of this video, I'm also going to show you how you can kill an alpha wolf. It's pretty much the same as a normal wolf if you don't have a gun, because I still don't have a gun for some reason. But it's the same as a normal wolf, but these are faster and more dangerous, so these can kill you a lot easier. So you do need to be very careful with those. Another item that can become important, especially in long runs, is the farm plots. This here, it will grow carrots for you every 2 days. But apart from carrots, there is also a chance for corn to grow, and also a pumpkin, which restores a lot of hunger. And if you're really lucky, it can also grow cake. If you get one of these combined with a crock pot, you can basically have infinite food. There are also some methods to make auto cookers, but I'm not going to go into those right now because I just don't personally use them that much, unless I'm going for a really long run. Something that you may have noticed is these really big trees. You might have tried to cut them down, but notice that they just don't break at all. So the reason for this is that you need at least a strong axe or a chainsaw. So your good axe or your old axe will not work on these. You have to use a strong axe or above that, which is a chainsaw. And as you may have noticed, there's currently a thunderstorm happening, so what you need in this situation is a lightning rod. Placing this down in your base will ensure that no lightning will strike you. If you end up expanding the fire to the max level and buy all the torches, you will need more than one of these lightning rods, because just one won't be enough for your entire base. And on that note, as you can see, the fire goes down very quickly when it rains. So this is when an item called a biofuel processor is needed, which I can't afford, so I am going to get some more wood for that. So now that we can afford it, you want to place it in a very specific place. You want to make sure that this end part is directly onto the fire. So now you can put things up here. You can either put logs or food such as meat and carrots, or even pelts. If you're that desperate for fuel, you can either use your pelts. But putting these in here turns them into biofuel, which you couldn't see right now because of how perfectly I aligned it, but it's basically poo, pretty much. But its fuel points are worth more, so it will increase your fire just a little bit more than it would if you were putting in logs by themselves. And now I think it's time I go out and I try to find Kraken Kid. So the same method as Dino Kid, you can go over to where he is, but for this child you will need, I think, it's either a level 3 or a level 4 fire and above to be able to unlock him on the map. And I can see his cave right there, and this time it is surrounded by 4 alpha wolves instead of 5 regular wolves. Inconveniently enough, there is a cultist base just next to it, so that makes things a bit more complicated. And also something that doesn't help in our favour is there is an alpha wolf right up here. So if you had, if you were using a gun, you would have to kill this guy first before using the same trick that I showed you before by shooting him up here. But I don't have a gun, so I can either wait till I get a gun or I can do it right now, and I'm honestly not sure what to do. So I'm going to check this chest over here. Maybe we'll get lucky and there will be a gun, because I don't really want to fight them head on. Okay, we didn't get the gun, so I'm going to have to fight these guys head on. I'm not looking forward to it, but there's only 3 since I killed one of them before. There we go, perfect. And now this time they drop a blue key. Again, same thing as before, you get another chest, and here is Kraken Kid. And just like Dino Kid, Kraken Kid will also set up her own tent. Also, just like Dino Kid, she will also add 1 more day increase for you. And something important to note, especially if you're a mobile player, is that sprinting takes your hunger down a lot faster. So on mobile, there is a toggle button, and while playing on mobile, it's very easy to forget that you have it on if you're standing still. So always remember to turn that off if you're not moving. And as you can see, our first batch of carrots have also grown. I just found something super lucky, a ruby chest. Now these have some of the best items in the game in, and normally they can only be found either after finishing a stronghold or just out in the woods, usually quite deep into the woods, but if you're very lucky they can even spawn really close to you. And I got well, they'll always have a gem of the forest, or a part of it anyway, and we also have a kunai, which this will work brilliantly on some of the kids afterwards who are guarded by bears. I didn't realise this morning, but we are on our way to our second cultist attack. Now from this point forward, cultists with crossbows will start to spawn, meaning that they can shoot you. Basically my advice would be is to just try and not stop moving so their arrows always miss. Oh my god. And that is why bandages are helpful. Now I'm lucky now and I do have a kunai. If you have a gun, you can use that as well. But like I said, just keep moving so their arrows miss. And this is where bear traps also become helpful. You can add them around your campfire and then lead the cultist into them. They deal a lot of damage on your cultists. So I would have died then if I didn't have those bandages, but my advice would be if you don't have bandages and you're about to die, just run around your campfire or just the surrounding area just until you can revive enough to actually kill them. And again, especially if you are beginning and you are playing solo, I would honestly say just make some bear traps. That is what I personally did to get to 99 nights the first time. I've finally gotten my first gun. Something else I should mention is that headshots do deal more damage as well. Now, since my fire is very close to leveling up, I'm just going to do the rest with wood in my biofuel. And our fire is officially at level 5. While I have some time, I'm going to gather even more logs to upgrade our crafting bench again. Here's something I was talking about earlier. As you can see, I got lucky and I got a pumpkin. Do not use your pumpkins for stews. It's not worth it. Pumpkins probably deal more hunger than the actual stews do. And now that our fire is leveled up, it's time to get the third kid. This is where it starts to get a little bit more dangerous, because from now on, the kids are guarded by bears. Now that I'm here, I should mention that there is a trap. This thing, what traps are, they're very difficult to see. I'm always falling in them. But basically what happens is if you walk over here and fall in them, they deal a lot of damage and they slow you down a lot, making it very easy for wolves to kill you. Now, as we get into the depths is when it becomes very dangerous. There are lots of alpha wolves and lots of bears. Now, bears are very fast. They're much faster than alpha wolves, and they deal a lot more damage as well. Night is approaching, but I'm going to try this anyway. You definitely need a gun for the bears. I would never do this with a spear, but I have the kunai, so I can use these on the bears. But any other gun will also work. It just will take a little bit of time to do. And there we go, we got our key and it fell in automatically. Here is Squid Kid. And if the chest isn't out in the hallway part, then it'll be in the bedroom. Yes, we got the strong axe. This is one of my favourite items in the game. Now on my way back, the deer is chasing me, so again, just turn around occasionally, use your flashlight. You can usually outrun the deer, so it's not too bad. If you notice that the deer's getting too close, just use your flashlight and he'll stop. Oh, this is a perfect time to use our new axe on this big tree. And this takes 35 hits to break with a strong axe. They do drop 12 logs and several saplings. Since the good axe would break your tree in 5 hits, the strong axe breaks your regular trees in just 1 hit. So because I do need some more cultist gems, I need to complete the stronghold. Some way to get cultist gems is either by killing cultists at their bases or when they come and attack you here. But the stronghold isn't something I'd recommend you do just yet. I'm going to cut this part out. If you guys would like a tutorial on how to complete the stronghold, then let me know. But basically all it is you need to fight some cultists. There's different levels, and at the end you can get some rewards. And now that the stronghold is complete, we can get our cultist gems. And now I can afford the next item that is bought with cultist gems. Now, there are 4 options here. The ammo crate, the giant bed, the oil drill and the teleporter. This does depend on how you're playing this exact round, but the first item that you'd want to buy is the oil drill, and then afterwards you can either do the giant bed or the ammo crate based on your preference, but the teleporter is the last item. You might not even need it, maybe in long runs if you also want to complete the stronghold lots of times, but the most important item is the oil drill. Now this can be a bit difficult to manage because this needs to be placed in a certain way so that when oil barrels come out of here they'll land straight onto the fire, but that isn't always guaranteed. So we're going to leave this here and hope for the best. But essentially what this does is it just shoots out oil barrels every now and then. And now the next cultist attack is about to start, so I'm actually going to use the bear trap thing that I told you guys about just to kind of prove what exactly I mean. I'm going to put 1 bear trap here and we're going to put 1 right there. And now we can try and lead the cultist into this here. After a certain point in the game, you can start finding defense blueprints, which are basically wooden spikes or metal wires that also deal damage to the cultists. But since I haven't found any of those yet, I am just going to use bear traps for that extra help. And there we go, perfect. As you can see, they've taken down half of these guys' health already. But the only downside is that you do have to keep resetting them. And we are officially halfway to 99 days, and you'll know that based on this message that will appear that you have been awarded with 2 diamonds. So now one of the last steps that we need is to get the final kid, which means that we need a level 6 fire, so we need to go out and find lots and lots of fuel to upgrade our fire. Yes, a giant sack. Perfect timing, our oil drill has gone straight into here and it has upgraded the fire for us. So the entire map is now revealed. Now unfortunately I did just close the message, but occasionally while playing, especially as you get higher and higher days, you will see the message, the deer is hungry tonight. Basically, don't leave your campfire during the night. That is the main advice I can give you. The deer becomes a lot faster, he becomes a lot stronger, and it just isn't worth going out during the night at all. Again, that also depends on how confident you are and how advanced you are at the game anyway. For example, I can go out for short amounts of time, but despite having nearly 3,000 days, I still like to stay inside the campfire during those times because I don't want to be with him when he's hungry. And so, I forgot to buy this before, but I'm also going to buy the good bed, which will increase our day counter by 1 as well. I should mention, everything increases the day counter just by 1, so it's not like any items are going to be increasing your days more than others. And there is the message that you'll see just before it turns to night if you did miss it in the morning like I did. And there he is. As you can see, his eyes are red, he is very fast and he is very hungry. And the torch or the flashlight will still work on him, but not for as long. And something important to note is that the deer will also be hungry if your fire has gone out. So even if you haven't had the message that he's going to be hungry that night, if your fire suddenly goes out, he will become hungry anyway. So basically just always make sure that this fire is running. You know, if you really have to use just wood without biofuel, just make sure that this fire is always running, because it's not nice when the deer is running after you and you're trying to fuel it up again while having the deer behind you. That is what usually kills a lot of players. And now I can also use the alpha wolf pelt that I found. I already have all of these except for the strong flashlight, so I'll get that. And now it's time to go and get the last kid, who is Koala Kid. You can see this is extremely dangerous. If you fall, you die straight away. And you do also need to be careful here because these guys can start climbing each other. We got lucky, and we also got a bear pelt, which is also the final item that the pelt trader wants. This room will also either contain a ruby chest or a legendary chest, which is this golden one. And something else that I've noticed is that the deer doesn't usually appear during cultist attacks. If he's chasing you as the night of the cultist attack begins, he will actually disappear in a few moments because he'll come and stand in front of your campfire instead. But now, as you can see, we have found all of the 4 children, which kind of is, I guess, the second main point of the game. You may have noticed during this video that I pick up a lot of these flowers. This is because there is a fairy trader in this biome over here, and she can give you helpful seeds. The fairy trader is just here. And what she has on offer are more trees, but this is specifically a better type of tree that will be easier to chop down, or fireflies that restore flashlight battery. Now, I've already seen some fireflies around, so I'm going to get the better trees. And every day she'll have new offers of different seeds that'll give you different perks in games, such as you can buy strawberries for more food, or you can buy chili peppers that make you run faster. You can even buy roses that will mark the traps that I showed you before, so they're easier to see. Oh, and here we have an honourable mention to the furniture trader. He just sells little bits and bobs that might make your campfire look a bit better. I'd only use him if I was doing a high days run, just to make the area a bit more pleasant. And the currency that he uses are these coins that you see lying around. Now I can get the giant bed. But now at this point, once you have every bed and every child, there's nothing else really left to do, apart from the fact if you wanted to buy anything else, you can. But from this point forward, once you have everything, you can just wait until you get to 99 nights. And of course, if you will be waiting around, make sure that you do make food as well, because you don't want to starve to death either. Obviously, there are lots of ways to go AFK in this game to get really high days, but that would be a video for another time, so if you guys wanted to see that, then let me know. There we have it. So this tutorial was specifically to get to at least 99 nights. This isn't for a high days run. For example, this base here wouldn't be for more than like 200 days. But that's all for today. So thank you guys very, very much for watching. It's till the end, or even if you watched for any point of this video at all. I do greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to see more, please leave a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to watch more videos like these when I do decide to post. So thank you and goodbye.